Free agency has really messed up a bunch of backfields for Dynasty football players. We'll tell you what to make of them next.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen every single day, and thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. Joining me today, as always, is the Fantasy Football Hall of Famer, Michael Fabiano. And of course, it's a Wednesday show, so Matt Williamson, former NFL scout, is here. And we're talking about free agency. We just got a bunch of news over the last 48 hours. And I want to, Matt, start with some backfields. And I'm going to start close to your heart. Let's talk about Kenny Gainwell, Kenny G, signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a 2-year deal. I believe it was about $12 million total. How much do you think that's going to impact your value on Bucky Irving, who, for the most part, is being drafted as a top 10 dynasty running back right now?
Yeah, and let me ask you guys something. I've been meaning to ask this for weeks, and this past week has made me even feel this even stronger. I am so hesitant now in the dynasty world to invest in any running back. They seem like they are so fleeting unless you're Bijan or Gibbs or one of these top guys. I mean, I know this has always been the case since I've played dynasty for 10, 15 years or whatever, but every one of them that I even have a glimmer of hope for almost always goes backwards in value.
To me, I mean, if you're talking about a back that's in his prime, a back that's just coming out of school, a back that's towards the back end of his career, and I understand that this free agency period, I think, has been good for fantasy overall. I like Walker going to Kansas City, and I like Etienne going to New Orleans, for example. And honestly, we'll talk about RJ Harvey. I think J.K. Dobbins coming back is probably the best thing for RJ Harvey because it could have been way worse.
Oh, yeah.
But then you do get into situations where you're dealing with committees in Arizona. That could be an absolute disaster. I mean, who's the running back in Seattle right now? Pittsburgh all of a sudden has a backfield committee again. Tampa Bay, as we mentioned, you mentioned Kenneth Gainwell. So I really think it's more sort of individually on an individual basis. So Pittsburgh, Jaylen Warren's never going to be a featured back, right? We kind of know that. Rico Dowdle's not going to be a featured back. Now in Tampa Bay, I think we're kind of learning that Bucky Irving is not going to be a featured back either. So maybe what he did his rookie year is probably the best we're going to get from him in that second half of the season, because Ken Gainwell is going to eat away at snaps, especially in passing situations. But I still, and maybe Matt, it's just me being old school and growing up and playing in fantasy leagues where I had Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith and guys like that and Priest Holmes. I still value the young or in his prime running back pretty highly in Dynasty.
I get it. It just seems like such a small list of guys I trust that, year to year more and more.
I agree. The list is shrinking big
time. Yeah. So real quick on Gainwell, I can definitely offer some insight here. His new coaching staff, or any coaching staff, is going to love him. Aaron Rodgers loved him. Everybody in the building loved him. The Steelers voted him their MVP, even though he was not their MVP. It's just one of those type of things. When I saw him in person for the first time, I was really impressed with his feet and his route running and his quickness. I knew he was good coming from the Eagles, but seeing him in person, in practice every day was, wow, he's really good. And he's way better in protection than people think. So he's a hard guy to keep off the field.
And Matt, just to kind of go back to your original question, I'm with you. Like every time I do a startup draft, once I get past like Ashton Genty at running back and Jonathan Taylor, I'm just out on all of those running backs. I just can't justify spending a second or a third round pick on a running back that I don't feel good about. And this is where talent evaluation matters, and talent matters. Like none of us were big Woody Marks fans as a talent, right? But he has a pretty productive rookie season. But obviously Houston doesn't think he's all that good, and that's why they bring in David Montgomery. And I think all of these running backs that are in the RB10 to RB30 range are all at risk to get bounced. And Fabs and I were talking about Kyron Williams yesterday. Like, I like Kyren Williams. He gets a bunch of touches. He's a good player. But Matt, will it surprise you if they move up 3 spots and draft Jeremiah Love because they just think he's a superior talent and all of a sudden Kyren Williams is completely out of the picture? No, not at all. So that's why situation matters a ton for running backs, but so does talent. Talent is what keeps teams away from signing guys like David Montgomery and Kenneth Gainwell and Tyler Algier and some of these guys.
It's just such a tenuous hold on being fantasy relevant or startable, unless you're one of the top 5 or 6 guys. Real quick on Love, I think the ATN and Walker move imply that Love is not going to get past, that he's going to go early. I think those teams like
he's not going to get past Washington, I think, at the latest.
I 100% agree.
This is where we talked a little bit about Jeremiah Love on yesterday's show, but Washington has struck out on every receiver that they've tried to sign this offseason. They were trying to get Romeo Dobbs. They were trying to go get Alec Pierce. They haven't been able to get any of them. I don't know how you can justify going into the season with a 30-year-old Terry McLaurin and nobody outside of them. It seems like a lot of the Washington reporters believe that it's going to be a receiver at 7 versus a running back. We'll see, but
it's Matt, a great point. I just think he could go to Tennessee, the Giants, or Washington.
But what if he
I
gets
just think
past
that he's
Washington?
Go quick. Then
if
maybe
he gets past Washington, we talked about this. If no one moves up, Minnesota's the next team, but they're at 18. And I don't
I think the Rams.
I don't think Love's good. So someone's going to have to move up. I just think the Rams just paid Kyren. They just extended him.
But he's a very middling talent. This is kind of the point I'm saying. He's a good player. Jeremiah Love's an elite player, and I don't think a team like the Rams are going to ignore an elite player in a year where they're trying to win right now.
No, they're in it to win it 100%.
So we'll see.
But wouldn't it behoove them more to get help where they need help rather than just improve a position that's already been pretty productive? I mean, Kyren Williams is up there in terms of the most touchdowns among running backs over the last 2 years.
I think that's a situation thing more than a talent thing, personally.
Okay. I mean, I look at the numbers. I mean, I'm a fantasy analyst. You
know how
I
am.
See. I'm a slave to the numbers, man. And the numbers are always very good. I feel like, he's the Rodney Dangerfield of running backs. He just gets no respect at all. And I know how Matt laughed and you didn't, because I don't think you know who Rodney Dangerfield is.
Of course I know. Of course.
Come on.
But basically what I'm saying is that, could it happen? Yes, anything can happen. But would it happen? Again, I think Washington is probably the drop dead spot for Jeremiah Love.
I know this wasn't what we were planning on talking about. I just think when ATN and Walker went where they did, those teams said, we don't think
knew
about Love. Yeah.
We talked about that yesterday, Matt, where, we're not privy to everything that goes on behind closed doors. And I guarantee that there's talk that, Love's going to the Giants, or Love's going to the Commanders, or Love's going to the Titans. So the Chiefs and Saints were like, well, we got to jump on a running back because we're not going to get the best running back in the draft class. And there's nobody else worth the first round pick after that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I want to go back really quickly to RJ Harvey, who Fabs actually brought up. The deal for J.K. Dobbins was a little stunning to me, honestly. I thought he would be like a close to vet minimum player, or maybe like
wasn't he last year a vet minimum guy?
Yeah, something around that. He gets 2 years, $20 million.
That's amazing money for him.
Which with the first year fully guaranteed. It doesn't change my thoughts on Dobbins as a player. It does change my thoughts on RJ Harvey, because if they're giving that much money to J.K. Dobbins, Matt, that tells me that they still don't trust Harvey in big spots.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. And I say the same thing every year about Dobbins. I think he's a very, very good football player. And in the fantasy world, I have no problem drafting him in any capacity and just starting him until he gets hurt and know he's going to get hurt. I mean, like, it just as many games you get out of him is gravy, but it's a very week-to-week game that we play, and I can live with that. But I'm kind of with Fabs that I thought it'd be worse. I mean, I think Dobbins is better than Harvey, and I think you're both right, Marcus, that Denver looks at it like we don't trust Harvey, but I think we should look at it like, man, that's not much competition because Dobbins isn't going to be out there for the whole year.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about what Denver could have done.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not looking at the salary cap situation, but, people had tied them to ETN, Ken Walker, even Tyler Algier. If Algier goes there, I think that would have hurt RJ Harvey way more than JK. And listen, I love JK. I'm such a fan of this kid. And to overcome what he's overcome, Achilles tears, knee injuries, he had the Liz Frank. I mean, God bless this kid because he has overcome so much more than so many players have ever had to overcome injury-wise, and he just keeps coming back. He was on pace to rush for over 1,000 yards last year before he got hurt. But at the end of the day, Matt is right. This is a situation where Dobbins is going to miss time. I mean, it's death taxes, and Dobbins is going to get hurt at some point during the season. I hate to say that because I love the kid, but it's going to happen. And so Harvey's still going to retain that value. Like you could see both of these guys having standalone flex value during certain points of the regular season, especially during the bye weeks. But if they brought in an Algier or someone even better, then that almost erases Harvey to the point where you're like, darn, Harvey is still going to get drafted not only higher in Dynasty, which is a no-brainer than Dobbins, but I think Harvey's going to go ahead of Dobbins in redrafts too, right or wrong. And if that was Algier there or another back like a Walker or an Etienne, that would not be the case.
All right, we've got more free agent news to get to, including it sounds like Daniel Jones is going to sign a contract extension very soon with the Colts. We'll tell you what that means for everybody in Indianapolis next. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like confetti craze, fruity rainbow, or cotton candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft. It's an easy one. It's the cherry. It's bold. It's got a cherry candy style flavor. It's sweet with a little tart edge. It's bright and it's got a punchy taste. And I love the way it finishes. It's got a little bit of a tang on the end. It's unbelievable. I wish I could do a better job of describing it to you guys, but 5 Hour Energy shots give you a boost with zero sugar. And they've got so many cool flavors coming up that you need to check out. So find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen every single day. Free agency is officially here, and so are we. Get 1 month free of the Everydayer Club with code FREEAGENCY, no spaces, now through March 15th. Go ad-free and keep this conversation going on Discord. Join the club at lockedondynasty.supercast.com. All right, Matt, let's talk about Daniel Jones. It sounds like from all the reports, as we are doing this recording right now, that the Colts are going to re-sign Daniel Jones to a long-term deal. Long-term probably means 3 or 4 years. What does this mean for Alec Pierce in Indianapolis? What does this mean for Tyler Warren, Jonathan Taylor, and the rest of that offense?
So let's not forget, basically, when he got injured the first time, they were basically the best offense in the league, and Taylor was on a MVP, Offensive Player of the Year type of pace, and they were really humming. And I really trust this coaching staff from an offensive perspective. I don't think losing Pittman's enough to keep them off that course. But, and this is a huge, huge but for me, what quarterback has had a good year the year after an Achilles? I mean,
which quarterback has had a good career after that?
Exactly. I mean, I don't like this investment from a football standpoint. I mean, you could have got Kyler for nothing, or I mean, I know that they're different players and Jones had success there, but it just seems like a lot of money and a big investment coming off a awful injury for the position.
I was hoping that they would be more aggressive looking at other quarterbacks, and they still might. I mean, there's a chance that they go out and sign somebody else to give them a backstop, but I just don't see them being able to replicate the success that they had last year. Fab, what do you think?
You know that I'm kind of a fan because of the fit, and he did very well in that offense. So you had mentioned, which quarterbacks had Achilles and come back and done well. I mean, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head, Rodgers, but Rodgers was past his prime.
Yeah.
Vinny Testaverde tore his Achilles with the Jets, and that was like when the Jets were actually supposed to be like potentially an AFC contender. He tore his Achilles. I remember Marino tore his Achilles as well, but I think Dan was also like 9 or 10 years into his career.
Definitely.
So I don't.
And he was never a runner either. You know, right.
So I don't know if you have like a fair comparison because Daniel Jones is still in his, late 20s. So he's not like past his prime. And, with the medical technology they have nowadays, I mean, Aaron Rodgers maybe wasn't great in fantasy last year. It wasn't terrible, on the field. So I still feel like this was a win. If it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of situation.
He's broke though. That's the problem. He is broke.
But no, I'm talking about just the scenario, the situation, the offense. Like Matt said, the Colts had, one of the best offenses in the league before he went down. And Alec Pierce was only going to stay in Indianapolis because, Daniel Jones appeared to be coming back. So that was one of the things that he wanted. And now they got rid of Michael Pittman Jr. I'm more worried about when Jones comes back more than I'm worried about is he going to stink when he comes back? So that's kind of where I'm concerned in terms of when do we get him back? And I think the Colts offense is going to look different because Pittman's not there anymore, but step up. You got to step up if you're Alec Pierce. You just got a ton of money. You got to step up if you're Josh Downs. You got to step up if you're Tyler Warren. And I'm sure the Colts are going to be adding another wide receiver here probably through the draft.
We got an update. They literally just signed the deal as you were talking. 2 years, $100 million for Daniel Jones.
Wow.
Oh,
my
man.
God. I wish I wasn't 5'8", short Italian and couldn't play quarterback because I'd be a lot richer.
I don't know what the Italian part has to do with it, but
listen, Italians, are typically not, very big people. So I'm not going to be able to see over a line of scrimmage. Marcus.
I believe 88 million of it is guaranteed. It's being
wow.
That is.
I think the Colts are going to regret this.
It's only 2 years though. Can they opt out after year one?
With $88 million guaranteed? Probably not. I
don't know. I'm trying to make the Colts look not as bad. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for a guy like Daniel Jones. Yeah. Wow.
This move and the Sauce move could really put this team backwards.
Yeah, I don't get it. Let's do another quarterback one. Tua Tagovailoa is expected to sign with the Atlanta Falcons once he's officially released. That should happen on Wednesday at some point. Matt, how do you feel if you're a Drake London fantasy owner or Kyle Pitts or Bijan Robinson? Does this change anything for you?
I find it odd that they were interested in Tua because other than being lefties, him and Penix couldn't be any more different. One of them's a hold the ball, drive the ball down the field guy, and one of them's get it out now, and that's the only thing I can do. And that's a real different structure to the passing game. Maybe it's just an indictment. They don't think Penix is any good, but I don't know what to think on that regard. But would Stefanski have taken the job if that's what they thought? That being said, though, if Tua becomes the starter and they structure the offense accordingly, like I just mentioned, London could get 1 million targets. I mean, short, but I mean, I can see
that's my fear. I have Drake London in every single league. And it's just the idea that everything is going to be underneath and there's just going to be no downfield passing attack at all. Is it with one of these things where we get a receiver here that's every week is catching 7 for 49, 7 for 55 with no real upside? That's my concern.
I get it. I just think there could be a lot of volume for him, though.
There could be a lot of volume. What do you think, Fabs?
My initial thought, and I kind of went back and forth with a lot of people on X yesterday. Boy, I was having fun with Jets fans. They were pissed at me, at least. I don't know. I think they're just angry, and I would be too if I was a Jets fan or a Cleveland Browns fan or even a Cowboys fan. But I don't know that this is a win for Tua because I'm not in the building. You and I are not in the building, Matt. We're not in the building, Marcus. Mm-hmm. We don't know what Atlanta thinks about Penix. This is an entirely new front office, right? New coaching staff, new everything, basically. I don't know what they feel Penix brings in the building. Maybe they like him and think they could build him up and that Tua is just going to come in and compete. And maybe Tua is a placeholder until Penix comes back from his 100th ACL tear, whatever it is. Or do they just think Tua is going to be their starter and Penix is going to compete, but Tua is probably the guy who's going to start? I'm not sure. So it's hard to really put I know for one thing, this sucks for Penix's dynasty value because at this time last year, we were probably boasting about him. Oh man, the upside in this offense is going to be amazing and blah, 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 blah. And we were all wrong because he wasn't any good last season. He had 1 or 2 good games and that was basically it. So I can't really put my finger on whether or not this is a win or a loss for Tua or Penix because I don't know how these guys feel about Penix in the building. They may say one thing and think something else. So
my hunch is ownership likes Penix though.
Right. So Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But how much does that factor into what Kevin Stefanski, who was brought in, wants to do with this offense? I also think this may be the first time in NFL history that the top two quarterbacks have been left-handed on a depth chart. I don't know about that for sure, but I kind of feel that way. But when you look at this situation, like legit, like would you guys be surprised if Tua started half the games and Penix started half the games? Like I don't think this is a win for anybody. What's that old quote? Was it Bill Parcells or someone who said it? When you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one quarterback. I don't know that this is a win for anybody at the quarterback spot. I will say this though. At least now you feel, and Marcus, maybe this will make you feel better or not. I think you feel better about Atlanta's pass catchers, knowing that if it's not Penix, at least they have Tua, and it's not Kirk Cousins, who Marcus doesn't like and thinks he has a dead arm. So at least you know one of those two quarterbacks is going to be out there slinging it.
I just want Drake London to have a quarterback that can throw the ball further than 15 yards with some velocity.
Okay,
I don't know if that'll ever happen.
Let me ask, but why can't Tua do that? I mean, Tyreek Hill was a field stretcher in Miami. Like, why can't Tua do that anymore?
Tua, to me, Tua just looks like a shell of himself. Not necessarily the arm. It's he just doesn't have the courage to stand in the pocket and drive the ball down the field anymore. Everything is quick, get the ball out of his hands so he doesn't get hit. And that you can build an offense that way, but you can't build a good offense that way. And that's my concern.
If I were Tua, I would have went to like the Niners or Rams or just somewhere that I have no pressure on me to rebuild my career.
And don't have to play.
And don't have to play and take a whole year off and learn from like the best guys out there.
But I mean, come on, guys. Like they're athletes. You think they're going to, I don't want to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. They're like,
I hear you.
If I'm out there playing golf, I want to play, man. I don't want to caddy. I don't want to sit in the cart, although I'm going to be doing that.
Yeah, but there's not a threat of you getting a concussion golfing, though.
Like they want to play. They're athletes. They're competitors.
I think this is kind of like the Harvey conversation for Penix, though. Could have been a lot worse.
Could have been worse.
This isn't that much. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some more free agent news. I want to talk about Bhyshul Tuten, who is set to become the lead back in Jacksonville. We'll get to that next.
College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever really fits your read. And then you can mix spreads, you can mix totals and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up that potential payout. Who doesn't love that? Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season long. For me, that's the North Carolina Tar Heels. Go ahead, Marcus, make fun of me. It's your parlay. It's your style, now with some more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen every single day. All right, Matt, I want to run through some free agent news that happened over the last 2 days and just kind of get your thoughts. Bhyshul Tuten right now set to become probably the lead back in Jacksonville with Travis Etienne moving on to the Saints. How do you feel about Tuten's dynasty value currently?
I think it's tenuous, like we opened the show talking about, because in these situations, and I brought up a couple times in the show, I think it's unbelievably important, and we'll talk about probably the Steelers' backfield in the same regard. When one guy can pass protect and the other guy can't, it really can be predictive of who's on the field. And I think they're really happy with LaQuint Allen as a pass protector, and Tuten isn't proven. And if you can't pass protect, you're not going to catch passes, and you're going to be in a limited role. So I kind of look at Allen as kind of a sneaky guy here, and Tuten maybe is getting a little overblown.
Here's my prediction. Rachaad White's going to Jacksonville.
Ooh, that would change everything. Yeah.
Because he's cheap.
Tampa connection.
And he knows Cohen's offense. I think if you have Rootin' Tuten right now, you sell high. There's no way they're going into the regular season with him as their starter. No way. You can't pass protect. You can't play 3 downs. You give away to the defense what you're going to do when you're not on the field or on the field. So I think Rachaad White's going to Jacksonville. That's just my prediction. We've got a couple of Seattle. Who's going to be their running back? George Halani? I mean, like, they've got to do something too. So when you look at some of the running backs that are out there, I think White's probably the best of the group. I mean, Sean Tucker's still out there as well. Anybody who goes to Jacksonville or Seattle is going to end up being probably the best fantasy option.
So real quick, I want to get your thoughts on some trades real quick.
Sell them now.
Yeah, so a couple trades on Dynasty League football. There have been several for Bhyshul Tuten for a late first-round pick, and I wouldn't do that if I was the one giving up the first-round pick.
That's how I would to pick.
But yeah, I also get it. If you need running backs, this is a horrendous running back draft outside of Jeremiah Love. If you're picking at 110 and you need a running back, you're not going to get one.
Right.
I give up a 2 for Tuten. That's it. I'm not giving up a 1.
Matt?
I'd probably move him. I don't know the rookie class well enough, but I'm sure I would move him for a top 15 overall pick, or a young receiver that I like, or,
As would I. Just worth pointing out right now on the expert consensus board, which takes all of the top draft analysts, there's 2 running backs currently being drafted inside the top 125 picks. This is a bad draft.
Isn't this just and again, Marcus is more of like the guy who likes to go in and really dig deep on the rookie class. Isn't this one of the worst ones that we've seen in a while?
Yes.
Across the board on the offensive side as it pertains to making an impact in fantasy, and maybe even defensively, offensive line. I don't know, because again, that's your deal, not me.
Offensive line's pretty weak as well. Yes.
So it kind of stinks to have, one of these top 5 picks this year, unless you want to get Jeremiah Love.
That's basically the only
because we know Mendoza's gone at 1. So
yes. Matt, I want to ask you about Isaiah Pacheco, who signed with the Lions to replace David Montgomery. Now, I was more excited about this deal until I saw this morning that it's a vet minimum contract. That's the best that Pacheco could get. Is there any chance that Pacheco can revive some of his dynasty value in Detroit?
Doesn't do much for me. I've never been a fan. I hate his running style because he just runs
Tell
real
us how
fast.
You really feel, Matt.
He just runs really fast and really hard into things, and kind of has a Johnny Knoxville feel to him. I just think that that's a hard thing to value. I would imagine he's like 50% of Montgomery's best day there.
What do you think, Fabs?
It's funny too, because like in fantasy, we all kind of became enamored with him, like in the second half of 2 years ago, when all of a sudden he was really playing mostly a featured role, and then he got hurt. And after that, he just was not the same running back at all. So if the Lions were going to sign a running back, which we knew they were going to, or draft one once they traded away DM, I think this basically shows us that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the featured back, much like he was in the second half of last year. This will not impact him at all. And I think Pacheco is a handcuff at best from a fantasy perspective right now.
Matt, last thing before we go. This Pittsburgh Steelers, your Pittsburgh Steelers traded for Michael Pittman a couple days ago. I don't think he has any real dynasty value. You can disagree with me if you want. But my question for you is, how much does this hurt DK Metcalf, who is being drafted as a top 65 player and a top 30 receiver last month?
I disagree that Pittman doesn't have dynasty value.
I don't think
it changes.
I don't think he's a top 3 receiver on your dynasty teams.
Oh, okay. Like not an every week starter type guy.
No. I think he's a bench guy that you play.
I want to get into this real quick, and I know we're short on time here because Matt's here and we don't get to talk to him all but once a week. Remember, Gainwell left 73 receptions behind.
Yeah.
So, and I agree, Pittman's ceiling took a hit, but I still think he could be a wide receiver 3. I think this is a loss only because his ceiling takes a hit, going from the 1 in Indianapolis to the 2 in Pittsburgh. But I think we can't really go completely all in or all out on Pittman until we know who the quarterback in Pittsburgh is going to be. And there are a lot of targets that Gainwell just left behind. Mm-hmm. And then a bunch of the other targets from Steelers wide receivers that aren't going to be there anymore. So I think I don't love this fit for Pittman, but I don't think this is a death blow either.
And I assume it's going to be Rodgers, and if it is, Rodgers and Metcalf were not a great fit, and they didn't look like a good fit when they, when
maybe Pittman's a better target, right?
I think Pittman's a very good fit for Rodgers.
Yeah. Is there a chance that just because of the addition of Pittman, neither of these guys are real fantasy assets moving forward?
Rodgers always throws touchdowns, though. And
It's
it
true.
wouldn't shock me if Pittman has more catches than Metcalf, and Metcalf has more touchdowns when it's all said and done.
And remember, we have to also consider that, like, when you think of Pittsburgh, you think of a certain style of play. This is a completely different head coach. This is the completely different offense. So I even find myself having to, wait, hold on. Tomlin's not there anymore. It's Mike McCarthy. I got to keep reminding myself of that.
And I think they're going to draft a receiver with one of their first 2 picks still.
Okay, then I'm definitely out on Pittman.
Yeah, I mean, they're not done.
We'll-
They're not
we'll
close
see.
to being done. Yeah, it could be a first rounder.
Yeah, it probably should be, honestly.
Mhm.
All right, that is it for today's show. We'd like to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty Football your first listen every single day. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Dynasty ad-free plus members-only Discord access and so much more. Head over to lockedondynasty.supercast.com to join the club. And for those of you on video, we can send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. And on audio, make your second listen the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. Follow Matt on Twitter at Williamson NFL. Follow Fabs at Michael _Fabiano. I'm at Marcus _Mosher, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.